I'm inviting you into my kitchen like I often do for a What We Eat in a Week video. But while we cook and eat together, I want to share something that has been heavy on my heart and a big reason why I started my blog and my YouTube channel. I want to talk about why cooking from scratch is so important. Not just for the delicious food that you can create from home, but also the health implications associated with ultra-processed foods. So something you might not know about me is I am a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I truly believe that Big Pharma and Big Food are in collusion. They want to sell us ultra-processed foods, stripped of nutrients, then profit off of the sickness that they created. And as a Black woman, I've seen my analytics and I know that many of you that are watching are also Black. So today I want to get specific and I want to talk about what that means for us, our children, and our husbands, and also for the country in general. But before we go on, I want to talk about how this is not to shame any of you for the choices that you're making. It's not about being perfect. You'll see in this video that not every meal I make or everything I prepare is healthy. But I believe that being conscious of what we're eating is so important. Okay, so let's get into it. As Black women, according to the CDC, we have the highest rates of hypertension, obesity, and heart disease among women in the US. We are 60% more likely to have high blood pressure compared to white women, and 4 out of 5 Black women are overweight or obese. Black children, their stats aren't great either. They're nearly twice as likely to be diagnosed with obesity. They're also more likely to develop type 2 diabetes and have higher rates of asthma. I know as a kid, I did have asthma. A study also found that Black children consumed significantly more ultra-processed foods than any other group. Now let's chat about Black men. Black men are at higher risk of prostate cancer. My granddad and I guess, is it my granduncle? My dad's uncle. They both were diagnosed with prostate cancer. Thank God they're both in remission. This one hits right at home for me. They're also more likely to have heart disease and a stroke. These are all tied to lifestyle and diet. And many people in our community are brought up without being taught how to properly nourish ourselves outside of fast food and takeout culture. Now, I know that a lot of this is due to systems that have been created, food deserts, and all of that. But I do still think that we can fight back. And if you are not Black, you're still not off the hook because in general, Americans are not very healthy. 6 in 10 US adults have at least one chronic disease, and 4 in 10 have 2 or more. Chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, and cancer are the leading cause of death and disability in the United States. Over 42% of American adults are classified as obese. Among children and teens, obesity rates are nearly 20%, which is triple that of the 1970s. 1 in 5 deaths in the US are caused by heart disease, and diets high in sugar and processed foods are linked to a 25% increased risk of depression. 90% of Americans eat more sodium than recommended, mostly from processed and restaurant foods, not the salt shaker. Despite spending more in healthcare than any other nation, the US has a lower life expectancy than most developed nations, largely due to lifestyle and diet. And so when I talk about cooking from scratch, yes, I do want you to click over to my blog because that is how I get paid. But also, it's about our real life. It's about my son. It's about your baby and our communities. And the truth is, we've been sold convenience at the cost of our health. And look at our grandmothers. So my grandmother actually went to culinary school. So I definitely have a different basis, right? Because of my background. My mom always cooked home cooked meals. They're from the Caribbean. And so prepackaged ultra processed foods, you can get some of that in Grenada, but it's not a big thing like it is here in Houston. Most people in Grenada are just cooking. But if we look at our grandmothers and our great grandmothers, they knew how to cook with scraps. Now, the average person, some of them don't even know how to cook chicken without instructions. I want to be very clear. I know it is so hard, especially right now. I know that back to school season is wild. It's a wild time. You're trying to get back into your rhythm and your routine and having structure back in the day. So I know it's tempting to grab the Lunchables or the bag of chips, the juice boxes, because it's quick and it's easy. But what are in those snacks? We're talking about dyes that are banned in other countries, preservatives that disrupt hormones, sugars, everything that you buy, things you don't even think have sugar in them. They all have sugar in them. And truly, is that fueling our kids? This is a bit of an aside, but I saw a TikTok and a mom said that whenever she watches someone's like what my child, whatever age, eats in a day, and it's not like 90% pouches, she was like, yeah, they're lying. And I kind of made me sad because I was like, wow, we have been, is it indoctrination? I don't know. It might be indoctrinated to think that the only way to feed our children is with pre-packaged, pre-processed food. And to someone out there, it literally boggles their mind that you just don't feed your kid that. I don't think that the pouches are bad and necessarily unhealthy or anything like that, but I don't feed my kid that because they have to be pasteurized in the plastic to make them shelf stable. So they're all heated. All the plastic is heated, and that's just like just not something that I want to do. Look into heated plastic and your food, and you won't want to heat your food in plastic either. So let's take a pretty unhealthy meal. Chicken Alfredo. Absolutely delicious, not healthy whether you make it at home or you buy it from the store. Calories 525, protein 35, fat 22, carbs 45, fiber 4, sodium 450, no added sugar. Not to mention that when you make it from scratch, there's no preservatives, artificial flavors. You can control the ingredients, the portion, the salt. You can add healthy fats instead of, hydrogenated oils. You can also add veggies pretty easily. Let's juxtapose that with a store-bought version. Calories are at 660, protein 23, fat 34, carbs 50, fiber 2, sodium 1080 milligrams. And typically, you're going to have added sugar at 3 to 5 grams. So we're at nearly double the sodium. Usually, they're going to contain soybean oils and preservatives. Added sugar for what exactly? I'm not sure. It's lower in protein, it's higher in unhealthy fats. So, even for an unhealthy meal, it's healthier to make it at home. I know I just rambled off kind of the state of the union of our health in this nation, but what can you do with that? I want to give you some actionable tips to kind of help you if you aren't used to cooking from scratch or you cook from scratch sometimes, but a lot of stuff is processed. I want to give some tips to kind of help you transition over to a fully ingredients household. So, firstly, I think starting small is really important. If you're used to convenience foods, I wouldn't try to throw away my whole pantry, freezer, and fridge overnight. I would start with one thing. I think bread is a great place to start. You guys know I'm a sourdough girly. I have a lot of bread recipes on my website if you want to check those out. But I truly think that store-bought bread is basically plastic. I haven't bought store-bought bread in going on a year at this point, and I was cleaning out my pantry and I found a loaf of bread in the back of the pantry and it hadn't molded. I was like, whoa. It literally still looked edible. I was just actually shocked. I was like, this is actually insane. I think it's plastic. I don't know what they're putting in that, but bread molds. I had to throw away a loaf of moldy bread that was, I think, about a week old today. You don't need to start with sourdough. You can try a simple yeast dough. I do have a very versatile bread recipe that is delicious. It's just like Wonder Bread. It's just like the store-bought bread. It's delicious. It's wonderful. You can get that done in about 3 hours. You could start in the morning, let it rise while the kids eat breakfast. You get dressed, brush teeth, everything like that. Shape it, let it rise again, and then bake it. You could also just commit to one meal a day that is totally from scratch. That could be dinner, for example. Breakfast, the mornings are pretty hectic. I wouldn't start there. Lunch, you're usually out of the house. So dinner is the perfect place to start. You could make a simple chicken dish, throw it in the air fryer, whatever, or chili. That's a great one. Very, very easy and a crowd pleaser. Start with a few basic meals and say, each night this week, I'm going to commit to cooking from scratch for this meal. And then for whatever reason, when you start cooking from scratch, you start making your own food, it kind of just snowballs into everything. Like once you start making one thing, you realize, oh, that's very easy. And then you just start making literally everything from scratch. I make almost everything that we eat from just ingredients I bought from the store, and then I turn it into what we actually eat. I think also learning how to cook basic proteins is really important. So a great place to start with protein is chicken thighs. They're inexpensive. There's so much fat in them that even if you do overcook it, it's still delicious. Pick 2 or 3 recipes that you and your family like and master them, and that's going to help you build confidence. Where a lot of people mess up is thinking that you have to reinvent the wheel and make new recipes. You have to get on Pinterest and look for the best new recipes every single week. And that just does not work. It's not sustainable. And then once you're comfortable with the basics, then start branching out. I can make almost anything, honestly, with my eyes closed because I've been cooking for 12 years. And so at this point, because I have tested so many things and I've made the same meals over and over and over again, and I'm very comfortable reading a recipe, I can look at the ingredients and make the cake without looking at the instructions because I've made a million cakes, I've made a million loaves of bread. As you continue on cooking, you will be able to have more fun in the kitchen and experiment. But if you're just starting out, start small and start simple so you don't get overwhelmed. And then simple sides, right? You don't need to be making potatoes au gratin. Like that just takes too much time, too much effort. Frozen veggies roasted in a pan with olive oil and salt, rice cooked in broth, beans in the Instant Pot. Does not have to be fancy. It just needs to get on the table. And also season your food. Go ham with the seasoning. And I'm not talking about just salt. I'm talking about run the gamut, okay? Onion powder, garlic powders, paprikas. You know. It's going to make your food taste so much better. It really is. It's going to make it more enjoyable. It's going to be like when you go out to eat. They season the food at restaurant and that's why it tastes so good. So you have got to season your food well, and not just powdered stuff, but I truly believe that the fresh onions and garlic, if you've ever watched or even in this video, you will see that I add onion and garlic to almost everything that I make. It makes the food taste really good. I add herbs. Acid is really, really, really important for your food. So if you can add a little lemon juice, a little lime juice, a little vinegar, it's going to give it a little bit more of an edge. So if you make an Alfredo sauce, and I know it sounds weird, but just add a tip, just a little dash of lemon juice to it. It takes it over the top. I promise. It's so good. Acid in your food, super duper important. Seasoning in general is very important. I do also have a recipe for Caribbean green seasoning. It's so good. It works for everything. You can marinate all of your food in it and it just tastes so good. I also think that having time-saving tools is a game changer. I have a lot of kitchen gadgets. I spend a lot of time in my kitchen, so you don't need everything. A slow cooker for quick things in the morning, right? Like you can throw a chili together so easy. Some people don't even cook the meat when they make their chili. I don't personally do that, but I think it turns out fine. I just don't do that. But you could not brown the meat, throw the meat in, the beans, the seasoning in the morning, stir it up, turn it on, and go to work if you work outside the home or even if you're at home. And then when you get home, dinner's ready. It's beautiful. Slow cookers make your life so much easier because you can get dinner done super early in the day. An Instant Pot, even better. If you had to pick between a slow cooker and an Instant Pot, I would go with the Instant Pot every time. I feel like I talk about the Instant Pot in every single video because I love my Instant Pot. Okay, you can slow cook in it, you can saute in it. I know people make cake in there. It's crazy. And you can get frozen meat done in like an hour in the Instant Pot. Like I can't tell you how many times I've made like a pot roast or beef stew in the Instant Pot and the meat is tender and flavorful very, very quickly. So again, that's going to save you on those nights where you're like, we're going to McDonald's. No, baby, we're making something in an Instant Pot. Air fryer. I love an air fryer. It's like a condensed oven and it takes way less time to get things cooked. Also, I feel like it tastes better. Like air fried food just tastes so much better. I know that the air fryer is kind of toxic. And let's be real, no one has time or energy to cook everything from scratch every single day. I do not. I want to make that clear. A lot of things, yeah. Everything, no. And that is totally okay. But the key is knowing where to focus your energy. So maybe you don't have time to make homemade pasta. Okay, buy the noodles, but make your own sauce. Maybe you grab a rotisserie chicken from the store and you shred it and use it throughout the week for other homemade meals like soups or tacos all throughout the week. I think doing what moves the needle the most for your family is what's important. So like eliminating dyes and unhealthy fat, hydrogenated oils, which create inflammation in the body and can decrease cell function. Ditch those sugary breakfast cereals and replace them with homemade oatmeal. Some things like homemade bread for me feels super worth it. Other things like making my own crackers, not so much. I've tried to make crackers. They're not as good as the store-bought ones, so we just buy them from the store. You can also lean into outsourcing in smart ways. So instead of shopping at big box stores stores where they don't care about the quality of the food and they're trying to keep their margins low, you can shop from like a local bakery you trust or hit up farmers markets. I know that you don't get extra points for doing it the way that I do it, but it is something that we need to be cognizant of for our health. And something I often talk about is mindset shifts, because I truly think that those are key to success in any aspect of your life. And so I think that changing your mindset around what is cooking can really help you on your from scratch journey. I think we've been conditioned to think that real cooking is spending hours in the kitchen and it's time consuming and it's crazy techniques. But really, if you scrambled eggs instead of microwaving a frozen sandwich in the morning, you cooked. If you opened a can of beans and rinsed them and added them to some rice, you cooked. Pull together a sandwich from fresh ingredients from the fridge, it's still home prepared food. Cooking isn't about perfection, but it's about involving yourself in every single thing that you're consuming rather than allowing some factory to involve itself. And so maybe you didn't make the bread, but you sliced it, you added real butter, you served it with something nourishing like a homemade roast. Maybe you didn't cook the chicken from scratch, but you paired it with sauteed greens instead of french fries from the drive-thru. And all of those little things that you do are going to help your health tremendously. So don't discredit the little scrambled eggs that you made this morning, because that is the foundation. I started this video talking about the health of our families, the real hard statistics about how processed foods are affecting our communities, especially Black families. And I don't want to scare you, I just want us to all wake up and really realize what is going on with our food, because we deserve better. Our children deserve better, our husbands, our parents, our future grandchildren, they all deserve a legacy that includes health. Cooking from scratch isn't just about food, it's about taking back ownership and choosing to show up in our kitchens, even in small ways, because we know the impact that it has on everyone in our family. Every time you cook a meal, you're saying, I care about what goes into our bodies, even when it's simple, even when it's imperfect, even when it's not organic, gluten-free, picture perfect, it still matters. So no, you don't have to change everything overnight, but maybe you stop buying one thing that you used to. Maybe you try one new homemade recipe this week. That's enough to start. The small changes done with intention can lead to generational impact. I believe we're worth it, and I hope you do too. So yeah, this video was a little bit different than usual what we eat in a week. I tried to add some text overlays so you knew what we were making, but I felt like it was important to have this conversation. I want to say thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll see you in the next one.